I'd like to take a few minutes to go over some key points that I think are important when you're looking at a 1911 for self-defense. I worked in the gun sales industry just for a little bit before I became a peace officer, and I've been asked the question while I was behind the counter, and I did my best to try and help people, and this is just some points that I want to go across, and hopefully this will help you guys if you're looking to buy a 1911 for self-defense. The first thing that I'll look at is the fit of the 1911, whether it's loose or whether it's tight. You have loose guns, which are like the Rock Islands or more of the budget 1911s, built more to GI specs. Then you have something like the Kimbers, which are a little bit more high-end. They're tighter tolerances, and because of that, you're going to have to realize that you're going to have to break the gun in. A tight Kimber is going to take a little bit more rounds downrange, in my opinion, to be a reliable gun versus a Rock Island Armory that is built to GI specs, and it's loose. It has the original bushing setup. It's just something that you can throw rounds downrange right out of the box, and it just works. With that said, some of the budget 1911s don't handle hollow points as well, so you have to think about that as well. If you're going to use a hollow point as a defense round, you really have to do your research into 1911 models, figure out which models work best for your environment, whether they're the small compact or the full-size guns or the double-stack guns, and you have to figure out, based off of what you find, what the best reliability numbers. That's the beauty of the internet these days. You can go on there and you can compare, and you can see which guns seem to be more reliable with different loads, which that kind of is my first and second point all in one there. I kind of combined it for you. The first point, look at whether you want to get a loose or a tight gun. And I'll kind of demonstrate. This is a Remington R1. It's a basic R1. I did a couple things to it, but here, hopefully you can see and hear what I'm talking about. Hear that? Slide's a little bit loose. Most 1911s you'll get a little bit of a loose side, but there's a lot of the custom 1911s are going to be a little bit tighter than that. The barrel is pretty tight. Some 1911s I can push down. There's a lot of movement between the barrels. The old, more GI spec 1911s will get that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just means you're going to get a little bit more reliability out of them. Right out of the box, I should say. So that's just kind of hopefully illustrating a visual illustration of kind of what I'm talking about. So the first point, look at your fit of your gun, whether it's loose or tight. Determine which one's best for you. I'm not going to say whether a tight 1911 or a loose 1911 is best for you, because everybody's got different environments and kind of a different perspective on what they're going to do with it. I talked about the second point already a little bit. Determine a 1911 by doing a lot of research and double checking that research. Determine what type of 1911s work best for the type of loadings you're going to use. If you're just going to take a gun and shoot hardball through it, and that's all you're going to shoot through is 230 grain hardball, go get yourself a basic model GI spec Rock Island Armory. Get some good steel mags and shoot hardball through it. It's going to be reliable right out of the box, and you're just going to have fun with it. If you want something that shoots hollow points plus P-loads, different bullet profiles, well, you're going to have to do a little bit more research and figure out what you want. So that way you're making an educated purchase. You're not just buying a gun and realizing, crap, I got to spend a lot more money to make this reliable, and you're just throwing money basically out the door trying to make a gun reliable. Another point, third point I want to make is I always recommend try and keep the gun simple. 1911s, you can replace just about every part on a 1911 with a custom part. It's just like Glocks out there. Glocks, you can take it to a store. You can go to the Glock stores and get just pretty much everything and turn it into just a weird amalgamation of aftermarket parts. Same way with the 1911. Problem is, when you start doing that with a 1911, you could really hurt the reliability of the gun. So you got to be careful with that. Keep it as simple as possible. Do what you want to do to it, but just really, again, research. Research and make sure what you're doing isn't going to hurt the gun, especially if you're going to mess with the internals. The fourth and last quick point I want to make is the trigger on the 1911. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people are obsessed with having an ultra light trigger on their gun. They want like a 2-pound, 3-pound trigger on their 1911. This trigger is the factory trigger. It's probably closer to 4 or 5 pounds, but I'll tell you right now, it doesn't feel like 4 or 5 pounds. I know if I had a trigger, if I had a pound measuring device here, I could measure the trigger pull here, and it'd probably be between 4 and 5 pounds. But it's a single action pull, it's a short pull, it certainly doesn't feel like it. I really don't like the idea of putting an ultralight trigger on a gun that you could possibly use for self-defense. Along with that, with just having the light trigger is, you have the aspect of training with that light trigger. There's been certain YouTube videos that's come out in the past that has shown what putting a light trigger on a gun and then trying to go do a complicated drill with can do to you. There's one video I can think of, and then there's some other ones on YouTube that kind of illustrate that point too. I truly think it's more of a training issue. Now, I know there are some exceptions with different types of firearms out there. Like, for example, the Smith & Wesson M&P models, I suggest, get an Apex kit for it, because you're going to get a little bit more of a better reset. The shield resets are a little bit better than the older M&Ps, and from what I understand, the newer M&Ps have a little bit better reset. So if there's a fundamental issue with, something from the factory that's an issue, maybe you're just wanting a better reset, okay, I get it. But I would highly recommend against going to a real light trigger. Get out there and train. 4-pound, 5-pound trigger is nothing. You can shoot accurately with it. You can shoot fast. You've seen a lot of my videos. Most of the guns that I have stock triggers on them, save a few of the rifles and such that have some custom triggers. Most of them are stock triggers, and I can shoot them fast. The M&P 40 videos that I've been putting out recently, me doing 5-round bursts with my M&P 40, it's a stock trigger, so there's no issues there. So I'll just keep this video short. I'm already going on past 7 minutes. Those are just some of the things that I tell people to look at. Oh, before I forget, one final thing. This gun is dovetailed. You can see right here, the sights are dovetailed in. That's a really good option for 1911s. Look for the 1911s that have the dovetailed sights like this, because it gives you the option of replacing the sights. The sights are better profile than the old GI sights, and I think it's going to greatly enhance your sight acquisition time when it comes to self-defense applications. So alright, with all that said, thanks for watching. I hope this video has helped some people. Of course, I didn't go over everything. It's just some key points that I think about and that I've talked to people about when I was in the gun sales industry. If you have anything else to add, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, or a link to your video if you've made a video. So keep it safe, and thanks for watching.